let's go to Chris in Stubbington. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Ian. Should President Trump visit Ukraine before a deal is struck with Russia and stop blaming Zelenskyy for starting the war?
Well, President Zelenskyy has urged Donald Trump to visit Ukraine so he can see the devastation for himself. Trump himself has made some pretty disgusting comments, I think, today about Ukraine and Zelenskyy. Paul, let's start with you.
I've missed what he said today, but I think Donald Trump has a record for dodging war conflict areas, hasn't he, when he dodged the draft some years ago. But he should go to Ukraine. Absolutely. Of course he should go to Ukraine because, as you say, I haven't heard today, but what he's been saying in the past is just dismissing any of Zelensky's concerns, dismissing Europeans' concerns, importantly dismissing the people of Ukrainians' concerns, all seemingly to get close to Vladimir Putin and just repeating all of Vladimir Putin's talking points.
Leonie?
It is the most bizarre thing that he keeps repeating this nonsense, I can't think of a better word, that somehow Ukraine started the war, which is what seems
and it was also about the mistake in the attack. He described it as a mistake in the attack. That's right. So yes,
I don't understand how he can possibly think that. The whole of the war is taking place in Ukraine, apart from a very small incursion into Kursk, which I think the Russians have now pretty much pushed them out of that particular oblast in Russia. I mean, he really should go there because it still seems a bit odd to me that he really doesn't seem to understand that it was Russia who started the war by invading Ukraine. And, we all saw the pictures on the television. Was he not watching at the time? They came through Belarus. They came, over the border out of Russia directly into Ukraine, and they're occupying parts of Ukraine. They started it. I mean, it's nonsense to suggest anything else. He should go there. He should meet some of the families who've lost loved ones. He should also meet some of the families who've had their children stolen.
Yeah.
The stolen children isn't really being talked about enough.
That's the untold story of this war, I think.
It is, absolutely. And they've estimated a number where people have had children stolen from families. But, of course, there are orphanages, so they don't really have the full number of children who've been stolen and have been taken off to Russia and given to Russian families. And I just think that's so sad. That's really sad.
Annabel.
Well, so much for the Nobel Peace Prize and Trump bringing an end to the Ukraine conflict in 24 hours. And then, of course, they moved the goalposts and it was Easter, and now that is being delayed. He promised that there would be a lasting peace in the Middle East. Well, he hasn't achieved that. And, of course, there were those talks with Iran over the weekend, and they seem to have achieved very little. All that Trump seems to have managed with Ukraine is humiliating Zelenskyy in the Oval Office alongside J.D. Vance, holding discussions directly with Putin, but shutting out Kyiv from any sorts of negotiations. And the view must be that they're going to attempt to foist some peace deal on the Ukrainian people, one which I suspect they won't be able to countenance. And this is, of course, Trump already having made several concessions to Putin, emboldening the Russian president enormously at a time when he's very weak. Domestically, look at the state of the Russian wartime economy and the fact that inflation has shot up to over 20%. Look at the sanctions which have been imposed on Russian oligarchs and the pressure that they are putting on Putin. But nevertheless, he seems to be siding with the ultra-nationalists. And who can really blame him if he doesn't consider America to be a serious threat, the world's policeman, and a country which is going to keep him in check? So, unfortunately, I do think that he should go to Ukraine. I do think that he should be showing support to the Ukrainian people and to President Zelenskyy, but such a thing looks very unlikely at this stage.
Roger.
Well, seeing the footage of the attacks on civilians yesterday, which I thought was devastating and heart-wrenching, of course Trump should go there. What seemed to me so dangerous about what he was saying today was it seemed to be an argument that small countries should never provoke big countries. Yeah. And, of course, the whole point about all the geographical area around Russia is you've got the Baltic states and you've got other small countries. Is he going to say that they provoked a war if Russia invades there? So I think it's a horrible view of the world, which is just so depressing that the President of the United States can keep perpetuating these lies.
Just think how much Canada has been provoking the US as well.
Well, it would be good, I think, for Donald Trump to read the chapters in Boris Johnson's memoirs about Ukraine, because I'm just gone through them, and I mean, a brilliant piece of writing, actually. And it sort of, I can't really explain on the radio how important I think it is that people see from a British point of view what happened. And the chapter on Boris's first trip to Ukraine, where it's sort of very secretive, because I think it was only a couple of weeks after the invasion, and getting on this train in Poland and then travelling for 12 hours. Brilliant piece of writing, I have to say. All right, end of plug for Boris Johnson's memoirs, but it is a good book.